Hello, Big Spring families. Thank you so much for expressing interest in our trip to the presidential inauguration in January of 2017. This informational video is going to go over some basic information about the tour, including our itinerary and some information about our travel company, EF, Education First. A second video is provided for your convenience to talk about payments and the registration process. Your student should already have access to a folder on Google Drive. Your student needs to make sure he or she is logged in with their Big Spring username. And if they don't know where it is, simply go to Shared with Me, Inauguration 2017, and you'll see a variety of materials. These were handed out at the parent meeting and the student information meetings over the last week. If you need hard copies, please don't hesitate to come see me. Before we get going, please take a moment to review the cover letter, a brief introduction, and if you can have it handy, this is the itinerary that I'll be referencing in this video. So again, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to learn a little bit more about this truly once-in-a-life opportunity. My name is Lauren Hetrick. I'm a social studies teacher here at the high school. I also serve as department chair. I'm one of the co-advisors for student council, and one of my loves is travel. And I really do enjoy student travel programs in particular, and I'll tell you a little bit about more about my experience. But this meeting will cover the importance of travel, where we're going, our itinerary and associated information, and again about our travel company EF. I'm passionate about student travel because I think it's very, very important to have our students realize how amazing a community the Newville area is. This is a wonderful place to be, a wonderful place for your students to grow up, and I think it's also important for them to be pushed outside of their comfort zone, to extend themselves to new situations, problem solving, dealing with all sorts of different people, knowing they always have a home to come home to. I've been lucky enough to be a part of 5 different international student travel programs, and back in 2013 I was part of a group that took some Big Spring students to the presidential inauguration. I think it's very important to provide our students with these opportunities while still in high school. You never know what type of lifelong impact it will have. Here's our Big Spring Bulldog back from 2013, and throughout this presentation I have a lot of images from that last trip. We actually ended up blending with a group from Wilson High School in the Reading area. They're also Bulldogs, so you'll see in a minute the t-shirt design that we created, but this cookie was made by a student from their group, and our Bulldog literally took a bite out of this opportunity. We're going to get a chance to talk about some tour highlights, especially the inauguration, and a number of key sites within the Washington, D.C. area. If you'd like, you can pause this video and take a look at all of the different things that we're going to see, but what I would rather do is go through the itinerary day by day. It's that PDF I mentioned just a moment ago, day by day, showing you some pictures from 2013. Here's our group who traveled last time. Maybe some of the faces are familiar to you. Of course, we have the Big Spring Bulldog here in front, Brooke Bayshore, Kyle Bowermaster, David Dunkelberger, Abby Lee, Tiffany Scalavino, and Riley Smith. Tiffany Scalavino was only a 9th grader when she traveled with us to the inauguration, and this year she is a senior. So if you know Tiffany, please feel free to reach out to her. A number of you already have. She'll be very honest about her experience and the amazing time that she had. Here's that t-shirt design that I mentioned just a little while ago, and if our student travelers would like to do another t-shirt design, we can absolutely make that happen. We will be meeting at Big Spring High School on January 18th and traveling by motor coach to Washington, D.C. When we arrive, we're going to meet our tour director. This is someone hired by EF, Education First, our travel company, and someone who's also licensed as a tour guide for the District of Columbia and Northern Virginia. So this isn't a college student trying to make a buck. This is a professional who has done this before. We get to see a lot of the National Mall area, and we had a chance to take some really nice photos of the Capitol building being a lot closer than we will be for the inauguration. We don't have any reserved seats. We'll be in general admission, and I'll give some more details about that momentarily. But we get to see where that reserved seating is. We get to see the platform where the president will take his oath of office. And as you can see, it's a great chance for some photos. We'll get to visit some of the Smithsonian museums, such as the National Gallery, the Museum of Natural History, and the Museum of American History. We had some extra time 4 years ago, so we went across the National Mall to one of the other Smithsonian museums, the National Air and Space Museum. This gentleman recently wrote a book about the Tuskegee Airmen who flew during World War II, and he was gracious enough to take his picture with our bulldog. That afternoon and evening, we get a guided tour of some of the monuments in Washington. And even if you've been on trips to DC before, or during our normal fall trip that we offer to sophomores and juniors every year, being here at this time of year, this time of day even, can prove to be very, very powerful and have some great pictures. This is the Franklin Delano Roosevelt Memorial, which is really neat and kind of off the beaten path just a little bit. You have to really go out of your way to get there. But to be honest, it's one of my favorite monuments in DC. This was outside the National Academy of Science. This is Albert Einstein, and supposedly it's good luck if you go up and rub his nose, and a couple of our students did take advantage. So again, our tour director knows exactly where we're going and is licensed for this experience, and again, some great photo opportunities. Day 2 of our experience will start at the Marine Corps Memorial. This is in Arlington. Here's our group from 4 years ago, and those of you who've been on the fall trip with me, this is where we actually start our trip, and we take a beautiful walk through Arlington. This route I got from our tour director 4 years ago. I was very impressed, and we had such a wonderful time. We had beautiful weather. The cemetery was still decorated from the holidays, and we actually, when we were walking through Arlington, we saw the presidential motorcade because President Obama and Vice President Biden had just been there to lay a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknowns in preparation for the inauguration the next day. So windows were down, and we did see both of their hands as they were waving. So that was really an unexpected surprise for our students. No visit to Arlington is complete without seeing the Kennedy gravesite and the changing of the guards at the Tomb of the Unknowns. Even if you've seen this before, I think this is one of the most powerful moments that we'll have on the entire trip. Absolutely amazing, the work that goes into making this happen. In the afternoon, we'll visit Mount Vernon, George Washington's home. We get to go and take a tour inside the home. There's a visitor center and museum, plenty of time to walk around the grounds, and of course, go to the gift shop. I really like the visit here simply because we get some time to learn about our first president, George Washington, as we prepare to welcome our 45th the next day. That evening, we will have some sort of activity. 4 years ago, we went bowling, and at first I rolled my eyes, literally saying, "We're going bowling?" But then I realized it was a chance for our students to kind of break out a little bit and chat with some other students from across the country who are here through EF and are here for the inauguration. So our students may have been bowling with students from California, Michigan, Missouri. There are students from the majority of US states in for the inauguration, which turned out to be quite interesting. Day 3 is Inauguration Day. This is Friday, January 20th. It's going to be a long day. There'll be a lot of walking, a lot of standing, but the energy is absolutely contagious. This was taken by one of our students when we actually got to the National Mall, so we were a lot closer the day before, and we were actually across from the Air and Space Museum, if you're familiar with the National Mall, not too far from the porta potties, which was an outstanding choice on the part of our tour director. All of the EF tour directors went to the inauguration area, again, ahead of time to map everything out to figure out the best locations for us. Speakers are all the way down the National Mall along with Jumbotron screens. We were close enough that we could see movement on the platform. We couldn't see facial expressions of anyone, but we could definitely say, oh, there's President Obama, there's Beyonce singing, there's Kelly Clarkson singing, which just fueled the positive energy. Again, photos taken by our students early in the morning. Even our big spring bulldog got in on the excitement. And come to think of it, I'm not even sure where those American flags came from, but before I knew it, every single person there in the audience had an American flag in their hands. So here are our students that after the inauguration ceremony, we'll see if we can get a view of the parade route. We were all pretty tired 4 years ago, so we actually went back to our hotel rooms and watched on TV the inaugural parade. We got changed and got ready for our own inaugural ball. The president and the first lady will not be there, sadly, but this is again a chance for us to talk with students from all over the country. There's an inaugural ball for all of the high school students at once. There's a buffet dinner, which was outstanding. There's a DJ, dancing, and our group had a fabulous time. Here are our teacher leaders, Mr. Wagner, social studies teacher from Wilson High School, and Dr. Fiore, their principal. Our bus driver, Max, and our tour director, Bill. Day 4. We will be tired, however, we're going to make the most of our last day. We don't have an airplane to catch, so we can make as much of our day, we can fill it, I should say, as much as we'd like to. So we were able to get tickets to get into the Capitol building for a tour, which was wonderful. We went into the Library of Congress and got to see Thomas Jefferson's collection of books. We also got into the Supreme Court building, viewed the museum that is there, and we were able to peek into the Supreme Court chamber. We couldn't go in, but it was just enough to get a hint of what it was like. So we spent the day on Capitol Hill going to a few more monuments, and again, we can stretch that day out as long as we'd like because we only have a bus ride home and we don't have a flight. So again, view of Capitol Hill. It was almost deserted in comparison to the day before. Portrait of Thurgood Marshall. Those of you who have taken American Studies or are in the process, you'll talk about Thurgood Marshall. And his gravesite is at Arlington National Cemetery, not that far from the Kennedy gravesite. So again, another location that we can take a look at. Thinking about student travel, we will take time prior to when we go in January to really have an idea of what we're going to see and some of the history behind it, so we're not learning about it for the first time when we are there. Bringing American Studies or AP US History, government, a number of your students will be in government classes next year, to real life. Thinking about education first, I've traveled with 3 different student travel companies. When it comes to this domestic program, I really do enjoy EF. They've been doing unique programs like this for half a century. While we're on program, 24/7 support, along with our tour director, we'll get a special phone number as chaperones. We can call and have any issues handled while we are on program. Educational value, they do offer a low price guarantee. So if you can find a comparable educational price out there, please let me know, and EF will match it. Again, full-time tour director, emergency service. Something parents are going to like, there's professional overnight security in our hotel rooms, just to make sure once students are in for the night, students stay in their rooms, and also to make sure that the general public doesn't come walking into our section of our hotels. So in addition to the program cost, and again in the next video I'm going to talk about all of those details, spending money for souvenirs. Some students purchased t-shirts, some people purchased some books. It's completely up to you, lunches and snacks. Something to consider, EF offers the Anytime Protection Plan, and that is something we will talk about in the second video. If you have any questions about the itinerary, feel free to send me an email. Let me know. I'd be more than happy to talk to you about that in more detail. And I'm going to put my contact information up. Apologize for the technical delay. Again, there's my contact information. Please don't hesitate to let me know if you have any questions. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to talking with you soon.